Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the grand finale of Season 10 in the FRL Taco Tuesday series. And I'm Sean Madden, your host and lead commentator for this evening. And we are in the south of France for this final race in the championship. Now, joining me for the very last time tonight is the ever reliable and legend that is my co-commentator, Luke Taylor. Good evening, Luke.
Very kind, Sean, and good evening to you. I'm looking forward to seeing some more great racing here tonight in the Taco Tuesday event here on FRL2.
Well, I'm so glad to have you with me, Luke, because tonight is a special night. Not only do we find out who will be crowned champion of Tier 2s, but also now Tier 3s, because for one night only, we have a mega grid combining both tiers of drivers on one grid here at the Paul Ricard circuit. So, Luke, can you give us all the info and details on tonight's race, please?
Yes, of course, Sean. First off, the drivers are currently enjoying a 60-minute practice, and we'll be going very shortly into a 20-minute qualifying, which will be split into two 10 minutes for Tier 2 and Tier 3 alike, and then we will have a 60-minute endurance race. There is still that mandatory pit stop. Refueling is allowed. There is a pit window from after the first minute of the race to the 59th minute of the race. The stop will have to be completed within that time. Points go from first down to 30th, from 40 to 1 in descending order, and both tiers will be getting full points for their respective championships. Over to you, Sean.
Thank you, Luke. So let's have a look at the driver standings going into the final round for both Tier 2 and Tier 3. So we have a close battle at the top of the Tier 2 standings, as both McLaren drivers are separated by just 8 points. Francisco Souza,
So you did some good French in your intro as well, so we're doing well, the pair of us.
Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that. So now you know what's at stake in the championship, guys. We now need to know a bit more about the Paul Ricard circuit and its heritage. So luckily, I have a man with all the track facts, especially given he's an absolute F1 nut. So Luke, can you provide us with a bit more information on tonight's circuit and help someone like me that knows very little, please?
Thank you very much, Sean. I'm going to skip over the French names on here because I'm only going to butcher them. But what I can say is our final race for Taco Tuesday in this season is obviously at the 1A V2 Paul Ricard circuit. The track itself is a clockwise, multiple layout venue, with today's version having a super long main straight, ideal for slipstreaming, similar to Monza. However, the rest of the track is incredibly twisty and largely single file. This means our drivers will have to choose their moment for attempting a pass or wait for a mistake into the myriad of corners that are one after another. Paul Ricard is the site of the most recent F1 racing in France and has undergone many alterations from its original incarnation and even several name changes. A complete paddock rejuvenation and various track widening projects to accommodate 21st century racing. Today's variation of the circuit for our Taco Tuesday competitors will be the same as the Paul Ricard 1000 kilometre and features the removal of the F1 used chicanes on the main straight. Around the circuit is the distinctive red, white and blue sandpaper high degradation tarmac runoff strips, and that's hard to say, to allow close racing into those tight corners and not punish the drivers with a gravel trap or a wall, allowing the drivers to fight hard and live for another day in the event of a spin. However, this will inevitably lead to pushing hard, flat spotted tyres and some interesting, if bold, moves in random corners. Good luck to our drivers and watch out for cars rejoining the track from the pit lane into turn 1. Over to you, Sean.
Thank you, Luke. So yeah, that should help me out a little bit of the Paul Ricard circuit. I got the experience on Sunday, so I got to know some of the corner names and sort of the format of the circuit. However, because I'm not, overly familiar with this circuit, normally I would have provided some sort of track guide, but on this occasion I'll have to leave it to the very capable drivers of Tier 2 and Tier 3 as well, to hopefully provide a few onboards of the perfect lap in qualifying. It does look like the drivers are getting towards the end of practicing, and then there will be a 20-minute qualifying duration time, 10 minutes for the Tier 2s and 10 minutes for the Tier 3s. So I need to ask you, Luke, how's the weather looking out there, and anyone in particular looking strong out there?
Well, I've got to say it's looking like a fairly hot day in southern France here at the Paul Ricard circuit. It's a track temperature of 37 degrees, although an ambient temperature of only 26, so it should be cooling ever so slightly. No wind to speak of, but keeping an eye on the practice so far, I've seen, quite frankly, our Sousa and leader of the Tier 2 Championship, he's heading up the field and looking very strong. But I've got to say a big shout out to Leishout, who is the Tier 3 Championship leader, sitting there in P2 on this mixed grid. So otherwise, I'm going to be keeping an eye out probably for Mikowski, who has been threatening some really good results recently. Had a little bit of bad luck in previous races, but yeah, I'm expecting a lot from this, Sean. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the Tier 2s, it is a very fascinating championship, should I say, between Sousa and Mikowski. 8 points is separating the two drivers. And Sousa, I think, kind of wins the psychological games, because if you remember, he kind of not crashed out, but he got involved in a serious accident to the start of Zolder. and he went well down the grid. I think it was like something like P15 or something like that. And then I think it was like a few laps later, Mikowski actually got into the lead of the race. So it looked like Mikowski was going to actually close that gap, maybe even lead the championship by the time we came to this circuit. However, it didn't pan out that way, and Mikowski made a few driver errors, moved down into P3. And then Souza was on a real charge. I think he was the fastest man on the circuit. I'm pretty sure he got the fastest lap.
He did.
He did, didn't he? Yeah. So managed to get a P4, and it meant that the two drivers actually got the same amount of points. So the 8-point gap that was there before Zolder remains for the Paul Ricard circuit. So I would say that Souza is in prime position, and looking at practice, he is the fastest man on the circuit for practice. Whether or not he can take that into qualifying remains to be seen, but Mikowski 7.5 tenths down. It's not looking good for him at the moment, so I would say that Souza is looking particularly strong out there, and he could quite well win the championship. But of course, races don't go on race results. It goes on performances and you know what they do in the business end, let's just say. And yeah, we'll have to wait and find out and see how the two drivers get how they do today. In terms of the tier 3s, I don't know too much about the tier 3 drivers, so I can only really go on the standings. And it looks like that Leishout, if I've pronounced that correctly, I'm not sure. He is leading the tier 3s, and with quite a healthy lead at the top. It looks like the tier 3 championship is sewn up, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There is a 60-minute race here at the Paul Ricard circuit. The drivers are just coming out for their out laps. It's actually the tier 3 drivers that are out first. So we will have a close look on board. I think it is car number 12 as well, which is Rogers, that will be the first one to come across the line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on board with Rogers then, guys, and maybe he can take us around the lap. Now this is an out lap, but he is just approaching the line now. So I will try to describe a lap around the Paul Ricard, but again, guys, these are the experts, and my French pronunciation not the best either, it has to be said, so I do apologise ahead of naming these corners. Well, that wasn't the best there. That looked a bit jumpy through the camera. It might have sorted itself out as he comes across the finish line to start his hot quali lap. So we are going down the Verrier, I believe, or the turn 1 would be the Verrier. God, that looks so jumpy, doesn't it? So I do apologise for that, guys. And yeah, approaching the Virage de la Hotel. As we get to turn 2 and turn 3, and then turn 4 for this right-hander, which is the Virage du Camp. And then turn 5 is Virage de la Saint Bremy, I think. And then this long straight, this is called the Mistral, and I believe this is 1.1 miles in length, so definitely the longest back straight on the whole calendar. And they'll be hitting speeds of about 170 miles per hour as we come up to the Courbe de Signy. So a medium speed right-hander, which will then be approached by the double droit, or the double right-hander in English. And it's quite a long corner. I think the Porsche will be pretty good around that circuit, around that part of the circuit. Maybe not quite favoured in the McLaren, but we'll see as we come to Virage de Bendol, the Courbe de Galaban, and then it's Virage du Pont for the final turn as we come across the start-finish line, and that is a lap invalidated. However, it was a 57.3. It's not going to count, unfortunately, for him.
No, unfortunately not. There was a little bit of track limits there, Sean. But good effort on the French there. He definitely did better than what I could do. Just to bring to your attention, we did have one of our Tier 2s out on track as well. I believe that has now been rectified. He's back into the pits.
Right,
so
okay.
We do have Tier 3 out there, which are symbolised in red on your timing screen there on the left-hand side, and white for the Tier 2. And we have a first lap time from Knight in a 1:56.3. That's a cracking lap, actually, Sean.
Yes, indeed. 56.3. Yep, that's a good, I would say, good banker lap. I'm sure he could maybe go a little bit quicker, but certainly just by the first of the hot laps, the Ferraris do look very, very dominant. Getting the top 4 positions so far. But yeah, so far Knight is leading the pole away from Mendonca, who is just over 4 tenths down, with Harvey a 10 or even 1/100th of a second behind. And then look at who's replaced them all on pole position, and it is Van Lieshout.
Yeah, another absolutely stonking lap there. I just wanted to say with Knight, he has only completed a few races in this series, but he has had a P3, so expect him to be running up near the top. And yeah, Lieshout, just move the goalpost significantly there for the Tier 3s.
Indeed, yes. I just need to quickly say hello to chat because I've not welcomed any of them in tonight. My apologies. So Formula Racing League TV, is that James that is in chat? I'm not 100% sure because there's about a few of you there, but welcome. Of course, we've got Dazza in here, we've got Kulios in here, Pedro, Sarah Hawkey, welcome as well, and Ms. Gemma Ram Better as well. Welcome. Hope you're doing fantastically well, and really appreciate all the love and support for what is going to be the final race of the Taco Tuesdays here tonight at the Paul Ricard circuit. So Knight has gone on pole position, Luke. 1 minute 55.350. He's just over 2 tenths quicker than I don't know if it's Lieshout or
I'm going to say Lieshout.
Lieshout. Okay.
That's what I'm going to be saying.
Right.
Answers on a postcard with phonetic dictation of how we're supposed to say things, but I'm going with Lieshout.
I mean, if we've got any... I think he's Dutch, isn't he, Luke?
I believe so. I will just double check that. And yes, he is Dutch.
Right, okay. So
yeah.
if we got any Dutch... nationality in chat or speaks Dutch, let us know if we've got that pronunciation right. I'm pretty sure they're going to say no, you're completely wrong, and completely show us up. But
I will say apologies to any Frenchmen out there for this one. We're trying our best.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, I've practiced a little bit, and I'm still useless. I can just about speak English, let alone French, Luke. So definitely having a hard time pronouncing these corner names and stuff. But I'm reasonably proud.
I think you've done a good job, Sean. To keep an update on the track, the temperature's gone down a degree, so will affect the drivers out there a little bit. Basically, at the moment, it's the top 2 almost look like they're in a different league, half a second clear of everyone else with the exception. Mendorca just went P3, and Harvey's gone into provisional pole for Tier 3.
He has indeed, and I just missed the on-board there as he crossed the line. But yeah, 1 minute 55.2, just over a tenth quicker than Knight. So fantastic lap from Harvey with what looks like it's going to be one more lap for the Tier 3 drivers. Yeah, we'll see who's got their very best saved for last. Yeah, we'll see what happens here. But currently at the moment, we've got 7 drivers within a second of each other. So it could go right down to the very last lap to who gets the pole position. But good to see Chris Gedman in P8 as well. Currently 1.3 seconds down on the quali pole sitter at the moment. 1.3 seconds down is in the BMW 79 car there. Of course, for those that don't know, he is the head of FRL, part of the FRL admin. So, yeah, good to see him out there. And we get to commentate on him tonight. So, who have we got coming across the line at the moment? Is that car number 56? That is Bibi. Can he improve on his previous best? No, he can't. He's got one more lap to cover those. So just
Rogers
about...
has parked it.
Rogers has parked it, is he? So he's clearly satisfied with his P7 then. We got Whitbowl. Is it Whitbowl? Whitbowl's gone up into P9 then. So top 10.
Here comes the Tier 2s.
Yeah, Tier 2s are out, but we will remain on the Tier 3s for now because they are on their final laps. I didn't see who that was. I might have missed it.
Brian's just coming across the line.
Yep, I'm just on board
Doesn't
with
improve.
Gedman as well. He's just about to come across the line. And now, can he improve? No, he can't. He'll remain in P8. And I think there's 2 drivers left then.
Ringhold's parked it.
Oh.
And yeah, it's just Leishout who's still out there. I think, yeah, it's in the last sector now. We have car 56 out. I don't know if it's tiered. That's Bibi, who I think that might be an invalid lap. So he's halfway around the track. So he might just squeak over the line.
Yeah, he just came across the line, I think, like 10 seconds before the allotted time. So I think he's allowed to get that in. But yeah, Leishout, yeah, I'm on board with him now. And he comes across the line, doesn't beat his previous best. So he will start from P3. So Bibi is the last one of the Tier 3s then. So we'll stay on board with him. Car number 242 is Naisbitt, I believe, isn't it? So, so maybe we can have a look on his onboard and go for take 2 of the lap guide.
Whilst we're doing that, I'll give you an update. The pole sitter for Tier 3 is Harvey, who is sitting in P4 in the championship and only 2 points behind Rogers in P3. So that is completely up to play for the final podium position of the championship. And Rogers is going to be starting P7. So absolutely to play for, Sean.
Do you know what I'm going to do, Luke? Right, I feel like I need to. I kind of owe it to Sousa because he is currently leading the championship. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on board with him now because he's just coming across the start-finish line now. So, why is it not working? Oh no, that should have worked. I don't know why that's not worked. Oh, that's ruined it, isn't it?
It's alright, we'll get more than one lap of this.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. Try again.
Yeah, he's down into, he's at the second part of the track at the moment. Naisbitt is coming along the mid-straight straight at the moment, so there's not much going on there. He is the lead car, and he'll be the first one to set a lap.
Yeah, it's not allowing me to do it for some reason. This is a shame. I mean, we can go on board. It's just that obviously it would have been nice to have got his inputs and the time and things like that, but it doesn't seem to be working for me, unfortunately. So, but yeah, this is the current championship leader in Tier 2, of course. And I think, yeah, this would be a fast lap as well. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shame. But, yeah, he will start the next one. And obviously, Luke, if you can keep me inundated with positions as well.
I will do, Sean. Naismith's is coming around the final corner right now. I'll update you. You'll see the time on the standings in a moment. But he is just coming around the final corner right now.
Yeah, okay, no worries. And just to quickly comment to Gemma as well. Always flawed, having an amazing stream. Got doggo duties with walking. Got yous on the TV. Adriana's watching. No pressure then. But hello, Adriana.
Naismith into P5 overall.
Yep, okay. All right, so we're on board with Sousa then. And this will be a flying lap from him. So coming up...
I think he had an invalidated lap there, Sean.
Yeah, it does seem that way. So, yeah, just going through the Verrier then for turn 1 and 2. Coming up to the Virage. I'm just going to call the Virage Le Hotel. And the Virage du Camp for turn 4, I think. And then turn 5 is Virage de la Saint-Bourme. Or Bourme. Might be Bourme.
I'm still sticking to the left and the right hander, Sean.
Yeah, right. As we come down the 1.1 mile long straight called Mistral. Ligne droit du Mistral. I'm hoping that sounds close to how it's supposed to sound. As we approach Courbe de Signy for turn 6, this medium right-hander. And then we come to the double droit or double right-hand. It goes a little bit wide on the exit. Lost a bit of traction. That would have lost him a bit of speed out the exit.
Almost gone P3.
Yep. He has indeed. So I'm going to remain aboard the Sousa anyway, just to see where he will come out. I'm still expecting him to be pretty quick here, and we're just approaching Virage de la Tour to Virage du Pont for the final corner as we come across the start-finish line. And what time can he produce? It is a P6, and he is 4 tenths down on Harvey, who is currently leading in the tier 3s. So technically P2 for the tier 2s. Moorveg has just come across the line as well with what is essentially P1 for the tier 2s. But this is really strange to see, to be honest, Luke. Seeing the tier 3s ahead of the tier 2 drivers right now.
Yeah, it's strange, but it's good to see. It shows us some raw talent in the tier 3, and I would imagine they'll be coming up to tier 2 for the next season and any other championships. Quick update on the temperature. It's gone back up to 37, so it's bounding around that temperature. So fairly consistent conditions. Can only hope for the tier 2s that their fuel burning is going to bring them a little bit more pace, because at the moment they're not matching those tier 3s.
No, they're not. Palmer will be the next one to come across the line. He is currently P28 overall, that is. 3.2 seconds down. And coming across the line, I don't think he beats it, does he? So that would have been a lap invalidation. Car number 442 is Moorveg, and he remains 2 tenths down. Interestingly, Harvey and Knight are both in the pits. Oh yeah, of course, because they're tier 3s. Of course, I'm getting mixed up here. Right, okay.
Lehar's just started a lap, by the way. So we got some more of our drivers out there. 242 is about to come across the line. That's Naisbet.
Yep.
Followed by Sousa. So these are going to be the movers, I would imagine.
Naisbet does move up to P1, P2 overall, but P1 for tier 2, 1 tenth down. And Sousa, what kind of time does he get? I think that's a lap invalidation. Will remain 9th overall then.
He's got 2 more laps if his tyres will hold out. It's just under a 2-minute lap here, so he's going to get 2 laps. The one coming across the line now is only going to get the 1. So it's a nail-biting time, and he's going to have to try and pull out a magical lap in the next minute and a half to 2 minutes.
Oh, whilst Kleber up into the top 3 then, and that is 12/100th of a second behind Harvey, who is still on pole position, which is, as you said, Luke, really, really good to see. Car number 678 is Jay Apprentice. He also moves up into P7 overall, just over 2.5 tenths behind Harvey. So they're getting closer. They are definitely getting closer, and there is one other driver coming across the line. I couldn't see the number, so it'll be 442. That is Morveg.
Yeah, he's just coming around the final set of corners now. So far, so good. It looks like it's a clear lap. He's going to get one more lap after this, but it's down the pit straight, and this is going to be into his final lap now.
Indeed, Luke, indeed. Can he improve, though? Yes, he can, and that will be essentially P1 for the Tier 2s, but still 81,000th of a second behind Harvey. So that it just shows you how good that lap was from Harvey to still remain on pole position. Yes, Brown are just getting onto him now. Brown doesn't improve. Car number 242 is Naisbitt, so can Naisbitt get to pole position? There's 20 seconds left of qualifying. Naisbitt doesn't improve.
Okay, Sousa's the next one. This is going to be literally the last person over the line.
And there you go. Sousa gets pole position, 1 minute 54.7. And that was a great lap from Sousa. So can anyone beat him then with Mikowski just coming across the line now? And Mikowski, that is disappointing for Mikowski. Only a P7 overall, of course, second in the championship. And this race is obviously vital because he's 8 points behind Sousa in the championship and the final chance to close that gap. So yeah, not good news for Mikowski.
Townsend was just in the final sector and lost the back end. He will not be improving.
Right, thank you. And number 246 is Trotman. So Trotman currently P13, 1.3 seconds down on Sousa's time on pole position.
Mikowski's finished his final lap. Yeah, he won't be going any higher than P7.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, into the pits, P7. 442, Mornveg in P3 as well. And potential last chance to grab that pole position is just under half a second off. And yes, Morveg up into pole position, Luke. 1 minute 54.7. So Morveg will start on pole position with Sousa in P2. Car number 134 is...
Lehout P16.
Thank you. Yeah, I just missed that one. So Gordon Brown will be the last car to come across the line, and he doesn't improve. So that is qualifying done, guys. And let's... I'll take you through the Tier 2 drivers, and Luke, if you can take us through the Tier 3 drivers, that would be absolutely awesome. So there we go. So yeah, in P1 then we had a Mornveg with a 1 minute 54.720. Then Sousa qualifies just 75 1,000th of a second slower than Mornveg in P2, with Naisbitt getting P3 with a 1 minute 55.325, which is only 5 1,000th of a second quicker than Kleber in P4. Then we got Mikowski in P5, 1 minute 55.452, which is just ahead of Jay Prentice in P6 with a 1 minute 55.475. Blair will be P7 with a 1 minute 55.617. Trotman in P8 with a 156.115. Lehar will get P9 with a 1 minute 56.3, and Brown rounds up the top 10 with a 1 minute 56.355, very close to Lehar. Callaghan P11, Townsend P12, and Palmer P13.
Very good qualifying session, Sean, I thought there.
Indeed.
So, yeah, to go on to the Tier 3, we have Harvey taking P1 with 55.2, and that is just exceptional from the Tier 3 driver. Closely followed by Knight in P2, Leishout in P3, Mendonca in P4, Tullock in P5, Ostel in P6, Rogers in P7, Giedman from FRL in P8, Whitball in P9, Gaioffi in P10, Cabo in P11, Brinkhoff in P12, DeVita in P13, Clack in P14, Bibby in P15, Sproston in P16, Prine in P17, and rounded out by Greenwood in P18. But honestly, Sean, that was a cracking qualifying session with all the drivers mixed in together, and I think we're going to be in for a very interesting first couple of laps.
Yes, indeed, Luke, because what we'll say is that, Harvey in particular, and you could say Knight as well, really mixing up at the top, between the Tier 2 drivers. And the Tier 3 drivers don't have to give way to Tier 2. So it's not a case of... if the car behind is Tier 2 and they are quicker, then obviously they are advised to move over and let them through, but they don't have to, if that makes sense, Luke. So we have got a proper battle going on tonight between the two tiers, and judging by qualifying then, it seems like it is going to be an awesome event. 31 drivers on the grid. And they've got to serve they've got to do one mandatory pit stop in the 60 minutes from minute 2 to the end on 59 minutes, isn't it? So they've got a 58-minute window to put in their pit stop. But yes, just to answer to Sarah, she said, any predictions for the race? I'll be honest with you, I wasn't expecting Mornveg to be qualifying on pole position. I was fully expecting Sousa to be the fastest man on the track, so that is going to be an interesting battle for sure. If it comes to the championship, well, Sousa and Mikowski are 8 points adrift of each other. There's no one else that can fight for the championship for Tier 2. Sousa is looking in a very, very commanding position. He just needs to finish... in fact, he can afford to be, I think, 4 positions below Mikowski to win the championship if he gets the fastest lap. It could go either way. We'll see how it goes as the countdown goes down. We've got 1 minute 30 until a formation lap. Luke, how about yourself? What do you think? What is your prediction going into this final race?
Well, first off, after we found in Zolder, predictions tend to go right out the window. There is an incident on the first couple of laps,
yes,
as Sousa found out last time out. However, I think we're going to have to keep an eye on the championship leader, Leishout. He's going to give the Tier 2s a run for his money. I'm going to be keeping a special close eye on Rogers and Harvey. Harvey, obviously, with the Tier 3 pole position. So I'm going to be watching Harvey and Leishout, and I'm hoping for them to pull off a podium, actually, an outright podium, not just a class podium, but race. So, yeah, I think if it all stays clean, which I'm hoping for, it's going to be a very interesting race. I'm going to see what happens with the strategy. I mean, obviously, it might be easiest to pit roughly halfway, 30 minutes into the race, but someone out there might go long and hope for some fresh tyres at the end. So we'll see what happens, Sean, as we get close to the start of the race.
Yes, indeed, Luke, indeed. And prediction from Dazza, he's not going to win. Hey, that's so negative, Dazza. You never know in this big grid. You never know what will happen. Of course, Dazza Townsend starting from P26 at the moment. You
also stated you would like the other 29 drivers to crash out.
Yeah, I mean, stranger things happen. You know, sometimes miracles do happen, and although he's not actually last, but that sort of last to first challenge. You know, they don't call it a challenge for no reason, do they, Luke? So you never know, that could happen in this race.
Exactly. Exactly. And I will say there's 31 drivers, so Dazza, you're going to want at least 30 drivers to have an incident.
Indeed. He's saying realistic, more like. But yes, Dazzy, you never know. But good luck in this race, of course, and more importantly, enjoy it as well, Dazza. You know, final race. I'm not sure when the next season is, but I'm sure there's going to be, a nice little gap for you drivers to rest. So yeah, enjoy it out there, and try to make up as many positions as possible. It'll take second. Yeah, there you go. That's more like it.
So, and Sarah says, good luck to Dazza.
Yeah, there we go. We're all on your side, Dazza. But yeah, we've got two McLaren drivers then on row one. So Moonveg and Souza will be on row one. So good to see Harvey, who is the first of the Tier 3 drivers to start on row 2. He'll be next to Dan Naisbitt, FRL's Dan Naisbitt, of course. So it'll be Ferrari against Lamborghini. Then we got Klebor and Knight. So Tier 2 versus Tier 3 on row 3. And then Mikowski, as I alluded to earlier, very, very disappointing qualifying from him. He'll be looking to make up many positions and hope to get in front of Souza before the end of the race, with Prentice alongside him in that Ferrari. And then Lee Leishout in P9, P3 for the Tier 3s, with a fellow Tier 3 driver in Mendonca. Rounds up the top 10, and both of them will be on row 5. So really exciting stuff as the drivers, it seems like that straight is so long, isn't it? Because obviously they're going at about, was it 65 miles per hour? I think it might be 70. They can't break that speed limit, so over a 1 mile length for the straight, it's just it seems like forever, to be honest. Like,
it's almost painful at safety car formation lap speed.
Yes. So yeah, just getting into the technical part, and then of course, yeah, we'll be starting the final round of the Taco Tuesday Tier 2 and 3 Mega Grid, and yeah, really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's poised for a really good race. I'm going to be keeping close eye on the Tier 3s. So I'll be watching Harvey and Leishout through the start. And yeah, it's going to be a good one, Sean. Track conditions are very stable at the moment, staying at 37, 38 degrees. So we are probably going to see this throughout. And they're coming around the final corner now, Sean, as we get ready to go lights out.
DuPont, isn't it? Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, so it's going to be both the Tier 2 drivers, both McLaren drivers. Who's going to come out on top as we await the green lights to start the final round, the grand finale here at the circuit. Paul Ricard, it is lights out and away we go, and Souza gets a great start and ahead of Mulveg, and Naisbitt, it looks like, is going to have the outside line. Oh, a little bit late on the brakes.
Oh, Mikowski.
And Mikowski, where's Oh, yes, Mikowski. Well, that's
straight
it.
To side of Klebor.
And that looks like it's up for Mikowski then. I don't think he is going to be able to fight back from there. So, yeah, that is the championship gone, I think, unless something catastrophic happens during this race to Souza. But Souza is leading the race ahead of Naisbitt in P2.
Yeah, and we've lost Mornvig down the back of the field as well, I believe. It's gone everywhere into that first corner. There was a couple of really late breakers, and it's nothing but bodywork swapping positions there. If we got someone spinning coming onto the Mistral straight as well, so we've got action going off everywhere.
Yeah, car number 84.
And
that is Cablo, but yeah, Mornveg was towards the back of the grid in P30. He will be fighting with some of the Tier 3 drivers. I think that is Bibby alongside him, but he's going to have the outside line, so I don't think he can... Oh, no, he got on the brakes a lot later, actually. And Oh, there's a car just behind, and that... I don't know who that was. Can't see who that was. But, I mean, guys, that... hold on. 50... There is one car in the pit lane, and that is Knight.
Yeah, I think he's retired straight away. I think we got another one in there as well.
Yeah, I can't see what number that is, but it might be Cablo, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sousa currently leading then after one lap, 1.3 seconds ahead of Naisbitt with Van Leishout. I'm going to struggle with that name throughout today, I think. But currently leading for the Tier 3 drivers ahead of Harvey in P2 for the Tier 3s. And then we've got Kleber overall top 5, but P3 for the Tier 2s. And Prentice just behind as well in P4.
Well, that was an interesting first couple of corners, Sean. It looks like we've got a few drivers who have either retired or gone in with damage. Mikowski's in the pits, I presume, taking his mandatory pit stop and repairing the damage at the same time. As we've seen before, trying to go the whole race effectively minus one lap. Probably won't manage that, sadly, so he's going to have to pit again, I would imagine. And we have Knight and Whitbowl in there as well.
Yes, indeed, and yeah, it was. I didn't.
Leishout on Naisbitt and Kleber on Harvey.
Yeah, I don't think Leishout is going to make the move on Naisbitt by the time we get into the turn, and he doesn't, so he's going to have to stay behind him and use that slipstream to pull him a little bit closer to the back of Naisbitt. Yeah,
Kleber's up to P4 in the race.
He is
down the straight.
Yeah, he is indeed. That'll be P3 for Tier 2. Tier 2. And yeah, maybe Harvey maybe kind of let him through. On paper, Kleber is the fastest driver, but races aren't decided on paper, of course, is it? So. Oh my God! And Harvey was very, very late on the brakes. It looked like in that pink Ferrari, nearly hit the back of Kleber. But of course, him going wide. That in fact, that was Prentice. Sorry, that was Prentice that went really deep in the pink Ferrari. And yeah, very, very close to the back of Kleber. Does make the move stick on Harvey though, so does move up into P5 overall. So yeah, nearly a big collision. But yeah, apologies for the start of the race, guys, because obviously it was a little bit of a mess, and it was hard to really decipher who was who. So got a little bit caught up in the moment, but. What it has done, though, is, of course, Sousa 2.1 seconds ahead of Naisbitt in P2 then. And, yeah, to be honest, Luke, he can just cruise home now. With Naisbitt not Naisbitt, Mikowski in the pits, it doesn't really matter what Sousa does now. He could even crash into a wall and he'll still win the championship. So it's such a shame for the Tier 2s, because it did promise to be such an awesome grand finale for Tier 2s, but yeah, not to be, unfortunately, Luke.
No, I agree, Sean. That 8-point difference is only going to grow at this point for Mikowski and Sousa. So yeah, Sousa can literally stroke it home and take his time. Leishout, who is leading Tier 3 and in Tier 3, P3 at the moment, is 31 points clear of Tulloch, who's in P11. So that championship looks like it's more or less sewn up as well. So just might be a couple of championship drives to the end for Sousa and Leishout. Leishout was actually on the back of Naisbitt for P2 in the race. It looks like he's shaping up for a pass there, Sean, as he's coming into the final corner and down the pit straight. Yeah. So we might be seeing a change position sometime soon, as long as he keeps it clean and keeps between those white lines.
Yeah, it looked like that Naisbitt went a little bit deep into the penultimate corner there. So Leishout, clearly, as you said, he's got pace. He's leading the championship. It's pretty certain that he'll be in Tier 2s for next season as well. Yeah, potential rival then for Naisbitt in the season 11 then of Taco Tuesdays. Yeah, showing excellent pace. And there is a few battles on circuit as well, Luke. So we've got Prentice, who has closed up to the back of Harvey, fighting for overall P5, but of course won't change position in their respective tiers, of course. But yeah, all the same though, Luke, this is good to see, great battles between each tier, and it's obviously the gap is the tier, but not really showing it today though. The tier 3s really holding their own against the tier 2s, so yeah, we're seeing some really good, exciting racing here, and it does look like that Prentice was going to stick a nose on the inside, but yeah, it would have been a full send if he'd have actually made the move stick. Probably would have been a collision. So for now, Prentice will have to settle in P6, and of course Blair not too far behind him as well in that Sky McLaren. So, yeah, although he is looking to overtake Harvey, he's going to have Blair in his mirrors as well, so he will have to be wary of the car behind.
Yeah, agreed, Sean, agreed. I'm just keeping an eye on Mornveg. He's taken Greenwood in the last lap or so, and he's on the back of De Vita already in P18. So he's making his way back through, and it's actually showing he hasn't taken his pit stop. So I presume he only pitted to take the damage off the car. So as he's coming down the pit straight right now, and he's making a move on De Vita for P17.
Yes, indeed. Yep, it is a bit of a drag race between both the McLarens, and Morveg around the outside, and he makes his stick. He does make it stick, although De Vita would have the cutback. But it does look like that Mornveg has taken that position from De Vita for P17 overall.
Yeah, you can see how much more confident Mornveg is on the brakes and in the McLaren. So I expect him to be moving through rather quickly.
Meanwhile, Trotman has just taken the position away from Lehar then as they're going down the straight, and Lehar is going to use that slipstream and pull up alongside Rogers. Trotman, and it looks like that Porsche has that little bit more speed.
Battle.
Yeah, freeway battle now. Yep. That is Rogers going up the inside. It does look like the Trotman is lost a bit of speed there, and oh my god, what a move from Rogers! Steals all the positions that was in front of him and up into. In fact, that is not him, is it? That was Tulloch. Tulloch took the positions, sorry, not Rogers, from Lehar and Trotman then. But
Lehar and Trotman side by side. They were.
no, that is Mendonca. That is Mendonca just behind Luke, the car number 78 of the Ferrari there. So
Blair on the back apprentice as well, coming into the final corner. And we've got Lyshout, who's only 1/10 behind Naismith for P2 at the outright race, saying that he's now fallen back. So I'm guessing Naismith had a poor last sector with Lyshout having a poor final corner. Saying that he's looking very confident, looking like he's wanting P2. But Clybor and P4 is coming at them.
Indeed, yes, good three-way battle for P2. It does look like at this stage that Sousa has peeled away from this little battle here. So yeah, Sousa of course wants to end the season in style, but yeah, it's not a foregone conclusion for that P2 spot, of course. And yeah, Naismith heading that little train of cars there. I don't think
good fight.
I don't think Lyshout is going to have enough time to get past Naismith by the time we get to the end of the straight.
Down the straight.
Yeah, I'm looking on board now. So yeah, Mendonca then on Tulloch then. He has got to the back of him, and can he make it stick? They are going to be side by side as we come up to the medium speed right corner, and well, Mendonca has swept around the outside, and he does take Tulloch does take that no, it is Mendonca, isn't it? Mendonca does take that position away from Tulloch. Apologies guys, just getting mixed up with the different liveries and the car numbers and stuff, but yeah, Mendonca into the top 9, and of course that is P4 for... Oh my God, who's that? That is... what car number was that?
I've just spotted Calglin have a spin chasing down Townsend, who that's now Townsend and Palmer in P19, by the way.
Indeed, and we have also got a big battle here as well as Prentice. I think gets past Harvey, and I'm not sure who the other car was behind, but they are side by side as we go into turn one. Prentice will have the inside line, and
yep, that's Blair.
And Blair will have to hold off for now then.
Yeah, Blair's been threatening that for a couple of laps, but he's had a poor turn two there. And now Rogers is coming at him. And Rogers, it's absolutely key to move up because he is currently in P3 in the Tier 3 Championship, only 2 points ahead of Harvey, who, as we can see, is running P5 at the moment. So it's a couple of points between them and only one place in the tier between them. So he's going to be wanting to catch up with Harvey. And
also as well, is that how you pronounce it? Is it Pedro? So Lee's out. Lee's out. Apparently is what Pedro is saying is the pronunciation. He has got in front of Naisbitt. He's into P2. P1, of course, for the Tier 3 drivers. But P2...
Cleveland on the back of Naisbitt as well.
Yeah, I see him just in the background. And also Harvey at the back of that battle as well. So I'm so impressed with the Tier 3s here, Luke. You know,
yeah, Prentice ran wide in the double right-hander a little bit. He's back on track, but he did run wide briefly.
Indeed. As Harvey closes really closely to the back of Kleber there. I don't think Kleber had the best line going in to the corner. But yeah, Harvey looking very, very competitive at this stage of the race. We have just gone through the first quarter of the Paul Ricard circuit.
Beg's up to P14 in the race. He's just put a move on Trotman. Next up was the Tier 3 of Brinkhoff.
Indeed. I'm going to stay on board with this battle at the top, though, for now, though, Luke, because very, very close between Naisbitt and Kleber. And like I say, Harvey not too far behind either as we go through this sequence of corners before the long straight. So
it's been for Guy Offey, by the way. Sorry.
Right. It's all right, mate. It's all right. It's good to for you to keep us inundated, but I can't take my eyes off of this at the moment because it's a three-way battle for P3. It looks like Naisbitt is sinking further down because Lee's Hout, I'm taking your word for it, Pedro, is pulling away now from Naisbitt. So Naisbitt is going to be under all sorts of pressure from Kleber. Of course, Kleber in that Porsche. So it's Porsche against Lamborghini. It does look like that Porsche has got the speed down the straight. Is he going to be able to make it stick by the time we get to the medium right-hander? It looks like he is. He's up the inside. Naisbitt's going to hang it around the outside. And Kleber just not quite. Oh, my God, with Harvey going up the inside of Kleber. And he does make it stick. So that's... what is the word, Luke? That's not insecurity. I can't remember the word.
It's confidence, I think, there.
Yeah,
I think it was a bit of confidence from Kleber. He didn't press through the corner there, and yeah, going into the corner, looking at the back of Naisbitt, wasn't looking behind him. And yeah, Harvey's literally stolen that from him in the corner, hasn't he? As Harvey looks like he's coming back at Naisbitt as well.
Indeed.
So he's on the move.
I did say that Naisbitt, it looked like he's been slowing down. Like maybe the tyres are, starting to overheat a little bit because it's 38 degrees track temperature. So that is quite hot, of course, isn't it? So perhaps the tyre pressure's been a little bit too high and it's just starting to overheat and slow him down at the moment. So we'll see. Of course, we have got one mandatory pit stop to be made through sometime in this race. So we'll see how Naisbitt does. He may come in early, who knows? But definitely worrying times for Naisbitt with Harvey and Kleber all over the back of him. But yeah, that's hesitance. That's what the word I was thinking of, Luke. That hesitance from Kleber really kind of lost him 2 positions there, because that P3 was there for the taking, but then Harvey took that opportunity that Kleber presented by going a little bit slower, moved up to P4. But Kleber now, can he learn from his mistakes, because he's gone up the inside of Harvey through that slipstream. So this time, can he send it? It looks like he's made the move stick before we even got into the medium right-hander there. So Kleber retakes that P4 position. Harvey will have to settle in for P5, but then of course Naisbitt has pulled away because of that battling. So a very, very interesting fight between Naisbitt, Kleber and Harvey for the fight for the P3 position overall. But of course, Harvey, not expecting him to be in that position at all, doing absolutely fantastic, and definitely taking the fight to the 2 Tier 2 drivers. As Kleber stuck a nose on the inside, and that was very close between Naisbitt and Kleber, but Kleber not quite getting the traction out of the final turn, but he's looking rather racy. He's got that slipstream to Naisbitt as well, and he's putting him under all sorts of pressure. Naisbitt is going to be looking in his mirrors all the time as we go into turn 1, and Kleber, I think, Naisbitt is definitely feeling that pressure and definitely struggling on them tyres, and it looks like Kleber, I don't know, I thought he was going to go for it then, but decides to back out of it for now. Maybe it's the right strategy, because we are coming up to that 1 mile back straight, and he is all over the back on Naisbitt, so he will be able to use that slipstream, which will pull him up the straight, and surely he will get past Naisbitt as Naisbitt pulls to the left-hand side. Maybe didn't get the best exit, Kleber, as he ran over the curb there, but still very, very close between them. And as we'll see on this onboard now, look at that slipstream pulling him up. So that'll be the outside line. That'll be the outside line. I thought he was going to make it work, but he's going to have to be brave. It's got to be very... Naisbitt spins him out. Just touches that rear side panel of that Porsche, and I'm sorry, but I think that was Naisbitt's fault, to be honest. It was him that instigated the contact, and that spun out Kleber, and Kleber has lost out on quite a few positions then. I think he's moved down into about P8, I think.
Yeah, thereabouts. I think he's in front of Tulloch.
In front of Tulloch, so P9 then. The stewards are going to look at that one. I'm pretty sure of that. It was. I mean, he needed to get on the brakes a little bit sooner and just give Kleber that little bit more space. And unfortunate for Kleber, loses 6th
Prentice
position there. Yeah, I see him. I was about to commentate on them then. Holds off Blair for now, Prentice, but they are very close as Rogers gets pulled into the fight as well, and Blair up the inside of Prentice. Although that's the outside, isn't it? Prentice goes a bit deep, cuts the corner. And
it looks like Rogers going running outside of Blair.
Rogers ran down the inside of Blair. Goes a little bit wide as well. It's a good rejoin by Prentice, to be fair to him, but loses out on 2 positions then. Blair all over the back of Rogers. It was a good move initially by Rogers, but went wide. Blair has got the overspeed as we go down the straight, and of course he's in the McLaren that tends to have a really good straight line top speed as well, so he makes the move stick. Meanwhile, we have got Mendonca then on the inside, and he will take that position from Rogers. And can he nick it from Blair as well? I don't think so, but Prentice also getting in front of or he might have already been in front of Kleber, actually, as Kleber got pretty close to the back of Prentice. So not all is lost for Kleber. He is fighting his way back, but there's a big dog fight between Blair and Mendonca now. So Mendonca looking rather racy in the last minute or so. With 5 cars in the background, it is definitely not done yet as we come to the final turn then of lap 11 to start lap 12. And it's as close as it can be, Luke.
Absolutely, lots of dicing action there. Rogers went very defensive going onto the back straight, and he's going to have to be careful going forwards with track limits. As I counted 3 times, he went off in 3 corners over the white line. So as we're seeing Prentice go down or defend from Clybourne into turn 1. But yeah, there's lots of action and lots of place swapping. And with the Naismith incident, I can only agree with you. I'd say. He tapped and instigated the spin for Clybourne, who's been in the wars today after turn 1, that one as well. So all happening, and only 22 minutes in. We still have 37 minutes left.
Indeed.
And lots of battles, particularly fought with this group that we see on screen.
Indeed, Luke. And we've got Blair, who is he's defending hard from Mendonca. Mendonca's going to have that slipstream down this long straight. However, the Ferrari doesn't tend to have the power down the straights. So as we look on the onboards, you can see that it's closing, but when he pulls out of that slipstream, it seems like that McLaren just has that little bit too much power for the Ferrari. So he stays in front of him for now, but this is where the Ferrari is really strong through this complex of bends. For now, if he keeps his... if he gets his braking right for these complex of corners, Mendonca will get quite close to the back of Blair. But in saying that, I think I've just jinxed him because that gap has actually extended somewhat. So,
yeah, it happened, Sean. We've got Mornweg on the back of Giedman for P12, P13 as well. He's making his way back through.
And also Kleber has made a move on Prentice as well into P8. So starting to charge up the field once more, and clearly an angry driver on circuit. He's seeking a vengeance, really, Luke. Next driver in front of him will be Rogers then. So we'll see if he can start closing that gap to him. But yeah, Prentice still looking rather racy behind him and still pretty close to the back of him. So maybe working as a team to try and get further up the field. But,
I think you're right. Kleber is he had the same problem in Zolder as well. He had a few incidents in there. He's going to be driving a bit angry 2 weeks in a row and hopefully make his way back through.
Indeed. Naismith, I can't believe it. Harvey is in P3 or P2 for the Tier 3s, and Naismith down into P4 then. Naismith has got the slipstream to Harvey, but I don't think he's going to be able to send it by the time we get to this right-hander. But yeah, Naismith plummeting down the order, it seems.
Yeah, he's definitely struggling out. As you alluded to earlier, I suspect he's struggling, whether that's temperature related or whatnot. He's feeling the pressure. Quick update on the Tier 3. It's looking like Harvey is going to be finishing ahead of Rogers, and so that could be P3 on the line, and P3 still for the championship for Harvey there. Or they might end up tying on points at this rate. So yeah, that's all to play for. And I'm watching Naismith on the back of Harvey. That is only for race position, but not tier position. So there is lots going on there. And Prentice is still on the back of Clybourne.
No, Prentice got in front of Clybourne. Yeah. So as I was talking about Naismith, I think he made the move on the straight and retakes that position. So a little bit of a fight going on between them two, which is always good to see, but then it doesn't work out great for their overall race, because if they have genuinely got really quick pace and quicker pace than the drivers in front, they're only stopping each other really to getting a better race position. But at the moment P7 and P8 though. Sorry, Luke.
Yeah. Update, Sean, we've got 3 drivers in the pits, Lehar and Mornweg from Tier 2 with Ostel from Tier 3 who's in the pits, and Brinkhoff has a 30-second stop go. And I can't actually see... Oh, no, he's coming down the back straight now, so he's still out there. I would imagine that is probably for track limits around here. Yeah, so we'd start to see the pit stops, the track temperature staying roughly the same. We're about halfway through the race. So it is about that time we're going to start to see the leaders come in, I think, Sean.
Yeah, I think so, Luke. I think so. Yeah, 32 minutes left of the pit window, of course, with a very hot track. It would seem a little bit weird if they actually stayed out sort of longer than the halfway mark, to be honest, or in my opinion, at least anyway. So yeah, definitely, I would say within the next sort of 5 to 10 minutes, I think we'll see most of them coming to the pits. But it's just about who can sort of produce the best undercut or overcut, I guess, Luke.
I suspect so. I think around here, where it is quite difficult to pass, as we've been seeing, going for the overcut, or at least staying out longer and trying to guarantee... as Harvey comes in the pits, by the way, after just being passed by Naisbitt. But going for that overcut might guarantee you a little bit of clear track. Because if you pit now, Sousa hasn't, for instance, got a big gap on the back. He could come out right in the middle of the pack, and as we know, there's danger in the pack, especially around here. It might lose you more time than going for fresh tyres. So I think there's an argument to be made for staying out, but however, it's going to depend on the driver, their skill level, and managing to keep those tyres intact for a little bit longer than the rest of the pack.
Indeed. Well, I'm currently on board with Prentice. Then there's still nose to tail between Prentice and Kleibor. Let's not go into pronunciations, because I feel like every time I say someone's name, I feel like I've said it wrong. But so Kleibor is just behind. He's in that slipstream. We're just on board with Prentice now on his back bumper. You can see that Porsche is getting bigger and bigger and bigger as we get further down the straight. And can Kleibor... Oh, he goes up the inside because Prentice left the gap open for him. It's going to be a narrow line going into the turn, though, and I think Prentice read his intentions and got a wider line into the entry of that right-hander. So he still remains in P6 with Kleibor just behind. I think that is a back mark. No, that's Rogers. That's Rogers he just overtook. So Rogers clearly may have made a mistake then on them last sort of couple of corners there. So Rogers down into P6 then, and actually sandwiched between Prentice and Kleibor then.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to give Prentice hopefully a little bit of breathing room from Kleibor for at least a few moments. But yeah, I would say that Rogers' tyres have run out as he darts straight into the pits. I think followed by...
I think it was Tulloch as well. Yeah,
who is currently P2 in the championship. So it's not an important race for Tulloch for where he is. But this is vital for the P3 for Rogers and Harvey. If Rogers is given up more positions and time. If Tulloch gets ahead of Rogers, then that will be Harvey into P3.
Yeah, and the race leader Sousa into the pits as well now So deciding to take it on like exactly the halfway mark there, as the race engineer calls it. Naisbitt will be a provisional pole for the tier 2 drivers, but overall
Leash out. Running away at the moment.
Lee's out. Yeah, Lee's out. I had to look at chat then just to I couldn't remember. So Pedro's the reliable guy in chat to put us in our place if we've mispronunciated a foreign name to us, So
he's our house linguist. Yeah.
Yes. So always good to have. Prentice, still fighting with Kleibor. for P3 and 4 respectively, but the gap has extended a little bit to 7/10 at the moment. Trotman is provisionally in P5 with Greenwood, who is provisionally in P2 for the Tier 3 drivers. Of course, a lot of the drivers behind have made their pit stop, so it's only 8 drivers actually that are yet to take their pit stop at the moment. So, Sousa is, well, I would imagine if he doesn't make a mistake, he will retake the lead of the race, of course, but he's 10 seconds behind Palmer. So, yeah, it's looking like it, just tossing up all the gaps there. He will comfortably go back into the lead there.
Lead out, Naisbert, Kleber all in, by the way.
Yeah.
So that leaves, I believe, Prentice out in the provisional lead.
Indeed. But yeah, I just find it quite amazing, Luke, that Sousa's, quietly gone about his business today, and just kind of, after Makowski going out very early into this race, he would be forgiven to kind of lose that concentration and not really care, but still wants that race victory and end the championship in style. And yeah, fully deserving of the championship crown for Tier 2s, of course, Luke.
Yeah, I think so. I can't actually spot Makowski anywhere in the field. So has he retired?
I think he has. He retired on lap 1. So
okay.
Yeah, he actually went into the pit. So yeah, actually drops out of the lobby as well. So
yeah, that's championship victory then for Sousa, and yeah, he's doing it in style now.
Yeah, so really, really good to see from Sousa.
With a 30-second stop go.
Yes, you are very correct then. Yes, stop-go penalties. What would that be? Because normally you get a drive-through penalty for cutting the track 3 times. I'm not sure what you get.
He's just come out of the pit, so I would hazard a guess that's speeding in the pit lane, Sean.
Of course. Thank you, Luke. Yeah, you are very correct there. So yeah, costly mistake then from Kleber, and that is horrible. Like I say, really costly there. He's going to lose many positions, definitely outside the top 10, I believe. So we will see once everyone has pitted, but yeah, he will have to come in within the next lap or two, I think. So
Rogers and Mendonca down the main straight. Down, it looks like Rogers is being passed by Mendonca.
Yeah, Mendonca on the inside of Rogers there. So yeah, good spot there, Luke. My mind slightly drifted there. But
lots going on, Sean.
Lots going on, of course, in Tulloch all over the back of Moonveg as well. Fighting for P14 overall, but actually it's not really for position, of course. But like I say, so proud of the Tier 3 drivers today, just doing an absolute excellent job and showing up the Tier 2 drivers, I think. And yeah, some of them quite rightly may well be Tier 2 drivers next season, of course.
Quite right, and we've got Townsend and Greenwood who've just taken their pit stops, and that leaves only Prentice, Trotman and Palmer who haven't pitted yet. So I suspect they are going a little bit longer than the rest, hoping for fresh tyres at the end. And yeah, okay, I think other than I think Prine is out and running. Yeah, that's just the top 3 remaining now that haven't pitted. But yeah, Tier 3 drivers, absolutely all credit to them. I've shown a couple of our Tier 2 drivers.
Yes, indeed. I was briefly on board with the battle for P20. Gaioffi and Ossel. I think Ossel has made the move on Gaioffi, I believe. Yes, he has. So I did see him briefly battling as they approached the right-hand turn just after the long straight. That is called, I need to know, it is called Corby de Signe. So, just so I don't get accused of not focusing too much on some of the Tier 3 drivers. So good to see that they were having a little bit of a battle between the two of them. Excuse me, guys. Kleber taking his stop-go penalty. You can see he's in P18 then. So, yeah, costly for him.
Trotman's in.
Yep, Trotman.
Yeah, very, very costly. A 30-second penalty around here is it's a quarter of a lap, really. So, yeah, that's very costly, particularly after the incidents he's had today. And he would have been hoping for a strong finish to the year, and that's going to put him down quite far down the grid in both race and tier, unfortunately.
Indeed. So yeah, Sousa, once all three of the drivers, well, so I'd say all two of the drivers actually in front, take their pit stops, then Sousa will reclaim the lead. Then he's actually only 3 seconds from Palmer, 2.4 seconds from Palmer, who is yet to take his pit stop, of course. But yeah, Sousa with a commanding lead then. 9.6 seconds is the lead over the Hout, or Lee's out. But yeah, he is, of course, not battling for position. So even if, you know, for bragging rights' sake, if Lee's out actually did get P1 overall, that would be absolutely fantastic for him. It wouldn't... It wouldn't mean anything to Sousa, would it? Because he would still get P1 for the tier 2s, of course. But
Prentice is in.
Yeah, Prentice is in. Palmer. Oh no, Palmer's quite a bit further back, isn't he? So he probably will come in because he'll be the final driver to make his pit stop. So we'll see where Prentice comes out. But I think obviously the battle was between him and Clybor, and obviously Clybor has served that 30-second stop-go penalty, so he'll be in front of him at least. But where will he come out in terms of Blair and Harvey? There's Harvey now, we're just on board with him now, currently P6. Prentice still in the pits now. So Harvey, I think Blair is already... No, Blair's coming up to the final turn now, actually. Prentice just getting away now. So Blair comes past. Harvey comes past, I think.
And Naisbet. And maybe Mendonca and Rogers. Well, maybe not. I think Prentice might be just ahead. It's going to be close on the exit.
Yeah,
Naisbet's coming out right now.
Yeah, Mendonca's passed. Rogers is passed.
Rogers is passed.
Molenbeek is
yeah,
passed.
the next is Molenbeek, yeah. Well, the Molenbeek is directly behind, I think. Yeah, literally directly behind.
Yeah.
So, and Molenbeek's going to be trying to jump him straight away because he's got the fresh hot tyres. But Rogers, not Rogers. Prentice has got the cooler but fresh tyres. So we have to hope that Prentice can get his tyres up to temperature very, very quickly.
Yeah, no, I'm really surprised by Prentice, to be honest, because. As I said, like it would have made sense to have pitted like say halfway through, really, because there's no actual rain on the horizon. It's hot conditions as well. So the 10 minutes he would have spent extra out on circuit compared to most of the drivers, that he would have lost a lot of time because tyre degradation and the tyres overheating as well, as we see Molenbeek using that slipstream in that McLaren, of course. You can see the pulling power that McLaren has. Tries to swing on around the outside, didn't quite have the line though, and Prentice will hold on to that P9 for now. But yeah, really surprised by Prentice because I feel like he's lost a lot of time, to be honest, to the drivers in front. Especially... I
think there is that potential, Sean. I have noticed a few drivers do tend. I think we just saw someone off.
I think it was a back marker. I saw it was a blue car. I think it's 287, and that is. It was Prine. I think. Could be wrong. I think it was him. Could have been someone else.
But yeah, what I was saying, some drivers in this championship do seem to go for longer first stints. Maybe out of the hope for a clean track, maybe for the hope of a bit of tyre deficit at the end, but I couldn't agree more. Going so long into the race, longer than the others, yeah, you probably lose more time than you gain. So it's an interesting decision from Prentice. Yeah. However, he's still in P8, which is P4 in Tier 2, so it's still a good result, but he's got Molenbeek right on the back of him still.
Indeed. So yeah, Mendonca then, all over the back of FRL's Naisbet then, fighting for that P5 overall. Currently P3 for the Tier 3s. Looking particularly racy as we go down the straight. The gap is about 0.4 of a second right now. I'm quite interested to know what is faster between the Lamborghini and the Ferrari. We know that the McLaren is definitely the strongest when it comes to straight line top speed. It does look like that Ferrari is closing in on that Lamborghini. I don't think he's going to be able to make the move though. And yeah, Naisbitt does defend off, or fend off, should I say, Mendonca there to hold on to that P5. But yeah, it does seem pretty close in speeds then between the Lamborghini and the Ferrari then. So yeah. But yeah, Molnveg currently, Molnveg is actually behind Prentice now, Luke. So not. I know they were very close on the previous lap, but now the gap is 1.3 seconds. Looks like even further, actually, judging by the footage there. But
yeah, Prentice's tyres are up to temperature now. He can start using the new rubber to start pulling away a little bit. So yeah, I think the battle on track at the moment is for Tier 3 for P15, 16. We have Greenwood and De Vita all together in the final double right.
Indeed.
Other than that, indeed. And Palmer and Ossel are very close as well, just behind. So Tier 3 giving us some good action today.
Oh, and there's contact! There is contact between the three of them, actually. And the car number... I can't see what number that is. Car number 911, so that is De Vita. Actually managed to go through two cars and spun out the other two cars. And I think one of them was Townsend and the other one was... No, it wasn't Gedman. I'm not sure who the other car was.
Saul was ahead. He's now off the track, actually. So, yeah, he was just literally in the barrier when I went to him. He's on the track moving again now. So, yeah, there was some action going on there.
It was Brinkman who was getting lapped, I think. I believe that was the car there. So yeah, kind of getting caught up in the mix there because obviously that was for track position between De Vita and Townsend. So
Clybourne and Bibby for P19. Clybourne's making his way back through, and he is so close to Bibby.
Indeed, yeah, indeed. As we sort of alluded to, Luke, a bit of a disaster for Clybourne. And just interesting to note as well with Clybourne, he could have gone up quite a few positions today, looking at the table. So that's really cost him. But yeah, we're still on board with them now. Clybourne all over the back of Bibby, and looking to make the pass surely by the time we get to the end of the straight. It's Porsche against Audi. I'm not actually sure what is faster in a straight line. It looks like the Porsche is quite a quick car, but he might have a bit of damage though, Clybourne. That is the problem.
Yeah, it's battle of the German manufacturer cars there, and it looks like they're about equal on the top end speeds. But you can see Clybourne trying to still make his way through. I'm just having a look around the grid as well. Mendonca is on the back of Naisbitt.
Indeed, yeah, he is. Yeah, he's been fighting for quite a while now, Luke. 3 tenths is the gap. Don't know if that's a car being lapped in front. I believe it might be.
Yeah, that's Brown in front.
Right, okay, so Brown not having the best of races himself. Then I know that Brown is a very fast driver on his day, and obviously got caught up in a couple of bad times, let's just say. I think he might have got caught up in the earlier accident, wasn't it, on lap 1?
Quite possibly, Sean.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bodywork exchanged in that opening couple of corners.
Yeah, indeed.
Somewhere Clybourne has gotten past both Bibby and Ossel. So I don't know if Bibby has had an off, but either way, they've all swapped positions.
Yeah, no, good spot there. So, yeah, looking good. But yeah, oh my God, that was close. That was so close between Mendonca and Naisbitt as well, with a lapped car in between.
That's crying.
Yeah, so yeah.
Daz is in the chat, by the way, say took me out. Sorry to hear that, Daz. I hope you can have a bit of a recovery for the rest of the race. Still got 13.5 minutes left to gain back a few places.
Yeah, it did look like it was a bit of a cannonball of what I saw. Completely spun you around, and obviously that's not going to help for the condition of your car as well. But yeah, sorry to hear that. Sorry to see that even, Dazza. But yeah, with what is the last 13 minutes of the race, hopefully enough time for you to still close up on a few positions in front of you, Dazza. But yeah, definitely unlucky.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I'm just keeping an eye on what you're doing from a different angle. Naisbitt and Mendonca, looks like that's the fight at the moment. Although Prentice is close up to the back of Rogers, who's now in the slipstream coming down the back straight. He was a second at the last sector, and he's closing rapidly with Prime, the lapped car, in the mix as well. So we might be able to see Prentice dive down past Rogers into that long right-hander. Not quite this time, Sean, but there is still much more for the track, and Prentice looks like he is wanting P7 off Rogers.
It does look that way. Yeah, we're just on the back bumper of Rogers, of course. And I think he sent it on him. I think Prentice looked to go up the inside. I think Rogers has given him the space. That will be the outside line of the sort of sweeping right-hander then, and then back to the outside. So actually that was a timely move from Prentice, and yeah, unfortunately Rogers has to concede, and Prentice up into P7 then. Again, as we keep alluding to, this is not for track position, because Rogers is a tier 3 driver, Prentice tier 2, but you know, for bragging rights, let's just say, you know, it was a good move on Prentice, and showing that, look, mate, I'm the tier 2 driver here. Yeah, I rule. But yeah, definitely great battle though.
Trotman and Lehar all together into turn 1, P11 and 12.
Indeed. So
this is battle of tier 2 here.
This is the battle for tier 2. Yep, you're quite correct there. So battle for, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So battle for P6 for the tier 2 drivers then. Lehart heads that queue in front of Trotman. Trotman is not going to give up without a fight. And of course we are 2 corners away from the big long straight, of course, as well. So if Trotman can get a good exit out of here, that will set him up for the straight and maybe get the move done. But I don't know, it looks like the gap has extended somewhat, so maybe didn't get the best exit. But we'll actually get to see then if Trotman can get the pass, and see if the Lamborghini is quicker than the Porsche. But doesn't look like that gap is closing anytime soon though.
No, I would agree, and it looks like Trotman is solidifying his P6 in the championship. Anyone who in the championship is near him, unfortunately, isn't here, so he's going to walk away with a top 6 championship position if he just finishes the race at this point. But he's going to want that extra position. Lehar, who has impressed through the last few races, and if I remember correctly, looks like quite a result. I think it's at Zolder. So I have to check my notes.
Well, Townsend locked in a bit of a dogfight with Gaiolfi. Gaiolfi up the inside actually of Townsend, and I think Townsend's going to let him through. So Gaiolfi gets the move done before we even get to the right-hander. I don't know if Townsend's got a little bit of damage because of that collision earlier on. But yeah, loses a position to Gaiolfi, who moves up into P17 overall. Not for tier position, of course.
Yeah, it's worth re-emphasising all the drivers in red are the tier 3, all the drivers in white on the left-hand side are tier 2. And it's 1 by 1 at the moment. It's literally tier 2, tier 3, tier 2, tier 3, all the way down. Well, for the top 6 at least. Top 8, top 10.
Oh,
yeah,
and I think
big.
Trotman's got a good run on Lehar. Then Lehar went a little bit sideways out of, I think it's turn 4. And as they come down to the straight now, this is the best opportunity for Trotman to make the move on Lehar then. The gap will be roughly about 2 or 3 tenths. Let's try and get a better angle here. So yeah, that is how close they are. Lehar pulls to the side. Trotman follows suit. And as they come up to the right-hander, it's important that Trotman tries to get a better line. He went a little bit narrow. That's not going to help him. Lehar had sort of sufficient amount of space to take a wider line, but yeah, Trotman all over the back of Lehar now. They are literally bumper to bumper as we speak.
Oh, I've just spotted at the other end of the field, P1 Souza was coming up to lap Calguin, and I think Bibby. I think there's been a crash somewhere because Bibby and Calguin are off, and I'm not sure where Souza is.
Yeah, Bibby.
But he's still circulating. But Bibby he's now got underway again, and Calguin's got underway. So I think there was an incident between them two. Calguin's just cutting across half of the track. This is really odd. So something has happened between them. I think now Calguin is moving aside and letting a lot of the lead lap drivers through. So something weird has gone on there.
Yeah, that is very strange. That was very strange. Yeah, I didn't really see what happened there. I could only really take your word for it. I did see Bibby on the side of the track, but I didn't see the other drivers, unfortunately. And I think that is Naisbitt just behind him now as well. So
that's an odd one for the replay.
Yeah. But yeah, Luke, I've got to really talk about the two championship. Well, it looks like the two championship winners in Tier 2 and Tier 3. Whilst we've still got a little bit of time, you know, Souza has been phenomenal throughout this season. He hasn't finished outside of the top 5 like the whole season, and it's looking like Souza is going to get his 3rd win of the season as well. You know, it's been an absolute phenomenal drive from Souza all season. Fully deserves his win. Of course, a little bit unfortunate for Mikowski, who had that accident at the start, but he was definitely playing catch up, and obviously it wasn't the best qualifying for him either. And then, of course, someone that I don't really know too well, because we haven't really covered Tier 3, have we? This is the first race in Tier 3, of course, that we've covered. But if I was to look at the standings for him, he's kind of like the Zadinek Vortel of the Tier 3s. He has grabbed 5 wins out of 7 so far, which will be 6 out of 8 once he comes across the line. Don't
curse it.
Well, I don't want to curse it. He did actually get a P14 in the last round. That was the only blip on you know, his whole championship so far. But you know, seems like the standout driver for Tier 3.
Yeah, couldn't agree more there, Sean. More or less dominant. Trotman and Lehar are still together, by the way. Greenwood has a drive-through penalty. And I do actually want to give a shout-out for a driver we haven't covered that much, and that is Blair, running in P3 at the moment, driver 152, who is effectively running P2 and looks to be set for his first podium of the season in a P2 in Tier 2. So, yeah, absolutely cracking race from Blair. Previously, the best finish was P4, I think, back in, I think it was Donington. But yeah, or it might have been Valencia. But yeah, cracking race from Blair, running in P3 at the moment. And again, a shout out to Prentice, who's brought us lots of action as well.
Yeah, indeed. I just saw someone take their drive-through penalty. I think it was Greenwood. I think that took his penalty. So not a good time to serve it, of course. But yeah, no, it's been an absolute cracking season, of course. As you know, I just see Lehar and Trotman literally bumper to bumper. Yeah, throughout this season, it's I mean, people could say, oh yeah, it's just tier 2, you know. But I have to say, right, I did commentate on one race of tier 1, and don't get me wrong, that was fantastic racing.
Rogers and Prentice into turn 1. Sorry, Sean. Lots of action going on there. Prentice is challenging for I think actually no, Rogers has got ahead of Prentice somewhere.
Yes, indeed.
So that's a move for the race position, but as they're going side by side through
Prentice
the left
just
right.
over the curb there, it does look like he's taken back that position as we go through the right-hander there. But of course, with the straight coming up, that does mean that Rogers is going to have the slipstream to Prentice. So he's definitely not done yet, but it does look like Prentice got a great run out of that final turn there.
And then Trotman and Lehar again coming onto the back straight, just to allow you to finish your point that you were making. Sorry about that, Sean.
It's all right. It's all right. It's been a long season. But yeah, what I was trying to say was, so obviously I watched one race of tier 1s, and don't get me wrong, the standard fantastic in that tier. You know, some of the best drivers on PS5, but I have to commend the tier 2 drivers. Been so impressed with them, like how clean and respectful they've been. They've still shown great pace as well. You know, what's really pleasing on the eyes is the fact that whenever I've seen a collision, or most of the time when I've seen a collision and the driver knows that he's at fault, he's always given that position back, and you don't often see that in league racing, and especially if we're talking about GT7, as we just see Trotman up the inside of Lehar, and he has made it stick, and Trotman up into P11, and of course that was for race position for tier 2s.
Good pass there, Sean. We also have Ossel on the back of Townsend, who is obviously Townsend on a bit of a recovery after an incident, but Ossel and Townsend are absolutely glued together, and they're coming onto the back straight now. If I was to put money on this, I think Ossel might, in the Ferrari, be going up at upper position in this down the back straight.
Indeed, yeah. Ossel making a good move on Townsend. It does look like Townsend is really struggling in that BMW now. Of course, he did get spun out by one of the cars, and would have picked up a little bit of damage to that back bumper, of course. So it does look like Townsend is suffering a little bit. You can see that the gap between him and Ossel as we go through the right-hander there is quite a large gap already. So, yeah, it does. Unfortunate for Townsend, because he made so many positions. Of course, he started from P27, didn't he? So to be in P19 and
a good solid effort.
Yeah, he was actually P16 at one point. So you know, you got to commend him for that, and it's just unfortunate for him that not the ending that he wanted. But pit window is closed as we got 1 minute left of the race, Luke. I'm going to have to start looking on board with some of the other drivers as we see. I was just about to go on to the leader there, but we have got a three-way battle, it seems, between Palmer. In fact, Palmer's been overtaken by Gaiolfi, and then we got Klebor just behind Palmer then.
Yeah, and Sousa just started his final lap. Somewhere Naismith has gotten in front of Harvey, although that's not particularly relevant, just race place. It's in different classes. Indeed.
Yeah, so, I was just about to get on to Sousa. I will definitely get on to him before he finishes his lap, of course. He is actually behind this battle that I'm looking at as Klebor up the inside then of Palmer. I think he can make it stick. Gaiolfi just in front of them there as we go into the medium right-hander. Klebor does make it stick, and there is also a drive-through penalty for Clack in P26. What a time to get a drive-through penalty, honestly.
Pushing to the limit to the last lap.
Yes, indeed. It does look like Klebor is starting to close in on Gaiolfi, so a potential... I would say a potential P15 overall, but of course that is not going to move him up in terms of tier 2, of course. So it looks like he will at least cement a P. I think it's a P4, 5, 6, 7, P8 then for the Tier 2 drivers then. I think that is the last lap from him. So let's get on board with the race leader and championship leader as well, and Souza actually just coming around the final corner. So congratulations to Souza for Tier 2 champion of the Taco Tuesday series, of course, with Van Leholt, oh god, I've messed up his name, coming across the start finish line to win and be champion of Tier 3. So congratulations to him as well. Fantastic drive from him. P2 overall in this race as well, with Blair getting P2 for the Tier 2s and Naisbet an excellent P3 for him, although provisionally, because there might have been some steward inquiries involved on one of the incidents. But Harvey getting P2 for the Tier 3s. Mendonca gets P3.
Lee's out pulling donuts.
And Prentice P4 for the Tier 2s. Rogers will get P4 for the Tier 3s, and Mulveg gets P5 for the Tier 2s. This is so confusing, with Tulloch P5 for the Tier 3s, Trotman P6 and Aleha P7 for the Tier 2 drivers. Gedman is about to come across the line. That will be a P6 for him. Excellent result for Gedman, FRL's very own, of course, in the Tier 3 category. And then we got the Vita as well. He will get P7 as he comes across the final corner for the Tier 3 drive. So excellent drive for him. And then I see a car on the side there, but it looks like Giolfi finishes in front of Kleebor. He will get P8 for the Tier 3s. Kleebor, I think I've lost count now. I think it's P8 for the Tier 2 drivers, with Palmer just behind getting P9 then. And it looks like all the other drivers have already come across the line. There's a bit of contact, a little bit of afters after the start finish line there. So let's have a look at the actually let's save the replay quickly, and then I'll bring to you the timetables, of course. Okay. So as long as everyone does stay in then, so just reading the top 10 then. So Souza, already confirmed champion of the Tier 2 drivers in Taco Tuesday, gets his third win of the season, with Blair in P2, Naisbet top 3 for him, Prentice P4, Mornveg P5, Trotman P6, Lehar P7, Kleeborn P8, Palmer P9, Townsend P10, Callaghan P11 and Brown in P12. For the amateurs, Luke?
Yes, absolutely, Sean. Looks like Harvey's the winner for that one, followed by Mendonca, Rogers and Tulloch 2, 3 and 4, Gedman in P and 5, DeVita P6, Gioffi in P7, Sproston in P8, Bibby in P9, Brinkoff in P10, Clark in P11, Prine in P12, and Clabo in P13, and Whitbowl in P14. And with that, I believe
that wasn't the standings. That would have been on what your screen was, but if you look on the stream, that was the official standings for the tiers. For the tiers. Yeah. So yeah, Mikowski registered as P13 actually, but I'm pretty sure that's a DNF for him. But yeah, for the amateurs, it was the ones you missed out on. Was it DeVita P7, Giolfi P8, Ossel P9, Greenwood P10. Then it was Sproston P11, Bibby 12, Brinkoff P13, Clack P14, Prine P15, Cablo P16, Whittyball in P17, and Knight P18. But I think that's a DNF and a DNF for Whittyball as well. So, yeah. Okay, all right. So I'll just put on the replay. But yeah, Luke, driver of the day. Maybe even ask you driver of the season. What are your thoughts?
Well, for Tier 2 specifically, I think driver of the season quite obviously has to go through for Souza, just because he's brought us some dominant wins in some of the races, and today he's just absolutely faultless out the front. So can't argue that. But generally speaking, I kind of want to give driver of the day specifically to Harvey, who showed it doesn't matter what tier you're in, come away with a really good result. So yeah, I think lots of good drives out there, and yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure commentating on this joint tier 2 and tier 3 race. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I think in terms of driver of the day, although if he was to give it to tier 1, yeah, definitely Sousa, because it was an absolute faultless race from him. I would say, yeah, I would say Harvey, but do you know what? Les Hout. Oh my god, I can't remember. Lee's out. Yeah. There we go. Lee's out. I would say that he would be my driver of the day, because P2 overall. Remember as well. So I would say overall for tier 2 and 3, Lee's Hout would be my driver of the day, because you just don't expect that from tier 3, do you? So definitely for that, and obviously yeah, probably has to go to the number 1 drivers, of course, for driver of the season for both tiers, because the league table doesn't lie, does it? At the end of the day, they got the best results, they claimed the most points, so yeah, that theory works, doesn't it, Luke? So yeah, we'll definitely go for Sousa, definitely go for Lee's Hout for the driver of the season. What's your final thoughts, Luke, in terms of the season? Obviously, we can't really comment on tier 3s, but how's tier 2 been for you?
Honestly, as you said multiple times during the stream, we've seen some great racing, tier 2 or not. Honestly, the standout race for me was Donington. We saw absolutely huge victory there from Naismith. That was my personal favourite. I mean, that was a tricky race. But all across the races, all across the different tracks, venues and conditions, each and every one has had their moments. And quite frankly, I'd be quite happy to see tier 2 again next season. And I think you'd feel the same on that one, because it's been non-stop. It's only been a 1-hour race, and we've not had time to breathe at any point during any of the races.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I second that, mate. Yeah, definitely. We've been to a huge variety of different race circuits, all offered their different challenges, and we've obviously been in some real heat, haven't we? I mean, to be fair to the Paul Ricard, 30 odd degrees ambient is pretty hot, but I do remember Valencia being pretty hot. Cota was very challenging for that as well. And then, of course, we had the rain in Donington and Brands Hatch, I believe, isn't it? So, which you can always rely on such weather in the UK, of course. So we've definitely seen a lot of action and a lot of ups and downs between all the drivers up and down the field. So it's, as I was kind of alluding to earlier with the driver standings, so impressed with the tier 2 drivers. Really, I knew that they were good drivers, but the drivers' etiquette, I would say, really impressed me, because I didn't realise how respectful the drivers were. If they kind of like owned up if they made a mistake and gave the position back. They didn't leave it to the stewards to kind of try and make the decisions. Yes, I would imagine a lot of tickets still went through and everything, but if it was easily sorted between the drivers, 9 times out of 10 it was done that way. So really good to see, and yeah, just absolute fantastic racing. Some very, very close battles, and it has definitely swung in roundabouts for sure. And that sort of emphasised obviously the fight for the championship win between the two drivers, going right to the wire till this last round at Paul Ricard. So yeah, absolutely fantastic, and really enjoyed it, and it's just been an absolute pleasure commentating on the Taco Tuesdays. Obviously, I have to say, congratulations to the championship winners in Sousa and Les Out as well. But obviously, big congratulations to all the drivers, and as I said, massive honour for me to watch and commentate on you all. But I have to say, big thank you to the sponsors, FRL, of course, for putting on, such a great series, of course, and I hope that I get invited to another Taco Tuesday event. We will definitely wait and see on that one. I've got to say, big thank you to everyone in chat for supporting myself and Luke throughout this season as well. Your turnout has been quite spectacular, really, in what is quite a small channel, really, isn't it? This TV2 channel was actually made just for Tier 2. Originally I did Tier 1, and they moved myself and Luke onto Tier 2, and that is when the channel was actually formed. And to get the amount of views we get in, and such kind words, and Pedro with the pronunciation of the driver names as well, it's it's always good to see, and we like I say, me and Luke really appreciate it. And then most of all, I do have to thank my co-coms partner Luke. You've been absolutely fantastic throughout this season, and thank you for keeping me on my toes, and obviously updating me on all the action that I may have missed, which has happened quite a bit.
Well, firstly, Sean, it's been a pleasure being here, and quite frankly, there's so much action going on in this race alone, let alone the rest of the series. We're not going to see everything, sadly, but it's always been a pleasure to help direct you in the direction of the race, show what's going on, and yeah, I can only really echo what you've said. So thank you to drivers, FRL, Singrid, yourself, Sean, especially, for making this a nice, fun hour or so. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to some more. But I do have to say a quick shout out to, I think Harvey is a stolen P3 in Tier 3. So if my maths is right, which it might not be, but it's been good racing through absolute out. And yes, thank you again, Sean. And I hope to see you all again for another season very soon.
Well, other than being an absolute gentleman, I knew there was another reason to have Lucas alongside me. Clearly a lot better in the maths than I am. So, yeah, we'll definitely have to take that forward in future series and stuff. But that concludes the FRL Taco Tuesday Season 10 here on the Formula Racing League TV2 channel. It's been an absolute pleasure watching and commentating on 8 extraordinary races with the ups and downs of the drivers throughout the grid. We've seen some truly awesome racing, and it's sad to see it's come to an end for at least Season 10 anyways. I've been your host, Sean Madden, and on behalf of the Raven Comms team, it's a big thank you from all of us, and it's a big goodbye, and we'll see you next season. Take care.